As if they don't have too much on their plates. The Kings of Combat Sports Podcast.
Neal.
And wait, they'll talk about the things they did that day. They'll analyze the work of Triple H. Rewind to SmackDown. 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 Rewind to SmackDown.
And welcome everybody listening and watching us on either YouTube or our free feeds on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. Let us know, actually. I'm very curious to know where you are listening and finding this particular podcast on a Friday or Saturday morning for most of you. I'm waiting. This is Neal Flanagan. How are you doing now, Neal?
I'm doing better, Yeah, even better than when we began and went over the news.
Even better than 24 minutes ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And 24 minutes, nice compact news pack for a Friday night. A busy weekend for you. You're back tomorrow night. John's back on Sunday for the G1. You know,
we will never stop. Okay, we will. This train just keeps going, and we keep adding cabooses.
Look out for Rewind and what's the MLP show? Rewind
Mayhem. Oh,
I'm joking.
Don't even. I will probably check out that first episode soon, but there's always more wrestling, but at least on Friday night, 1 hour less than usual. How was 2 hours SmackDown for you this week?
I'm loving this. I'm still sort of filled with delight at the pacing of the show now at 2 hours, and the fact that you can still, if you join it a little late, click through quite a bit. You know, this happened on Raw, this happened before the break.
Yeah.
Club WWE, you know, you can get through this show.
If you want to just get through it, and honestly, like, even if you're sitting down to, like, watch it out of, like, you know, like, excitement, I feel it's certainly a more, like, enjoyable in this format versus, like, you know, long drawn out. However, tonight's episode, I feel, didn't even have enough content to stretch out to this short and length, Neal. Like, I thought tonight's show was such a missable, skippable show.
I felt going in that it was going to be, because Saturday night's main event is tomorrow, and that's clearly where they've got their eye on this weekend at, you know, Madison Square Garden. And the lack of announcements for this show was really stark.
Oh, they had nothing until what, like 4 o'clock or something like that. You know, like we like to. I like to put these like links out sometime in the afternoon. By certainly like whatever, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, like 3 o'clock. Nothing announced whatsoever.
I don't think Finn versus Talla was even announced at that point.
Mm. All we knew was that Adam Pearce was about to take over for Nick Aldis because, of course, Nick Aldis was choked out. So I don't know what that says. Like, I don't know if they were like, you know, waiting to see like what talent was there versus no, like they knew what talent was there and what talent would be in this Fanatics Fest, which is going on, which seemed to be the priority this Friday for this company. That looked like way better of a party than SmackDown tonight. Oh,
much more celebrity involvement, which we know they love. You know, the best they could do tonight on SmackDown was the dude from The Americans, Matthew Reese, I think you call him, is an actor. Whereas Fanatics Fest had Tom Brady and Ice Speed, you know,
that was a real party. Yeah. Well, they were in Albany, though. You know, like I guess a bit tougher to find celebrities out there. So yes, we're about to talk about SmackDown, but not before I talk about some of the releases that it's a very full post-wrestling cafe here. So many things that we can barely fit on the menu, and I want to start off by letting people know about Rewind Away number 210. That is our review of WrestleMania 21. We went Hollywood, Neal. Do you remember this show? Do you have fond memories?
I do remember it. I remember it pretty well. 2005, because the WrestleMania Goes Hollywood motif is something I just really remember, and those little sort of movie pastiche trailers that they did. I've listened to Rewind Away, which was great as always, and was reminded of a lot of stuff I'd forgotten about on this show as well.
Yeah. WrestleMania is always like daunting, I think, for me to feel like, you know, to try to cover. Number one, because of their length. Number two, because like I think they, depending on like what show and certainly like what era the listener may be, like these are shows that could mean a lot to the type, like the person that might be listening to the review. And this is one that I certainly get the sense means a lot to a lot of people, particularly like people who might have grown up with the John Cena era. Right, this was the show where he first won his WWE Championship. You also had Batista headlining the show with Triple H, where he won his first WWE Championship. So this was real changing of the guard. You had Edge win the very first Money in the Bank, and of course you had Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels, one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time.
Yeah, very memorable. Unlike perhaps the Christy Hemme match, and.
Aki Bono versus Big Show, which is one of the worst WrestleMania matches of all time. Also on this show.
And Lemmy singing sort of Triple H to the ring. And if you listen to the show, you will get John and Way both doing their impression of Lemmy, forgetting the lyrics to the game. I think it's fair to say at some point.
At this point, I accept that as I think those are the actual lyrics. In fact, it's too bad he didn't re-record it to just mumble it through.
Yeah. I am the game. Play me.
The latest edition of Pollock and Thurston is also out there, featuring one of the best clips I've ever seen. Where I don't know if you have any opinion on this, Neal, but I guess of some controversy this week, not even controversy, but of some sort of like discussion online, is the fact that Dave Meltzer has still yet to review and give a star rating for Mercedes Moné versus Maya World. And now, like, to be fair,
it's
like
the controversy of the year in professional wrestling.
Dave was at the event. And he has said something to the effect of, like his perspective watching in arena seemed very different from the perspective of people watching from home. And therefore, he was going to reserve judgment until watching the TV version. Well, it's been very busy, okay? And he has not yet done it. And this has not made certainly Mercedes fans happy. It is certainly hasn't seemed to make Mercedes Moné happy, because she tweeted about it, maybe in jest, but nonetheless caused a lot of discussion. And therefore, it was up to Brandon Thurston, our very own, to use data and analytics,
hard numbers
and math to determine what, using cage match ratings and using maybe Dave Meltzer's own sort of historical ratings of Mercedes Moné matches.
That's right. In Brandon's terms, a solid sample size.
What?
With a good R squared confidence score, whatever that is.
Yes. Let him explain it to you on tonight's edition, or this week's edition of Pollock and Thurston. It was absolutely brilliant.
The highlight of and should we reveal what the
let people find out for themselves, and then afterwards we shall compare whenever Dave Meltzer reviews it, how close Brandon Thurston got. So that's out there, along with MCU Later, talking about X-Men 97 episode 5. We also have available right now on our YouTube and also downloadable in audio form, The Chaotic History of TNA Wrestling, John Pollock's latest long-form, first of all, written piece, but he also voiced it into its own podcast, talking about the extensive history of TNA Wrestling. Now, of course, like, we've been reviewing Dark Side of the Ring, and its 3-part series on TNA, but, there's a lot that I think you could only fit into a 3-part episode, especially when you're focusing also on Jeff Jarrett. So John Pollock instead, decides to, straight from his brain, just spell out a linear history of TNA in this something like 5,000 word written piece that he's also voiced into I believe something like how long is this thing? Let me just play it. It's a 30-minute piece that he's created for us. So you can listen to it on our YouTube for free right now, or if you want it downloadable in MP3 form, become a member of the Post Wrestling Cafe. So that's out there right now, or you can read it, of course, over at postwrestling.com. All that down, let's go over to WWE SmackDown, Neal. From Albany, New York at the MVP Arena, according to WrestleTix, 7,220 tickets distributed. This is, maybe far from a sellout here. WrestleTix also listing about 14,000 tickets available on the map. Last time they were here in November, they sold about 9,000. So, a little bit softer than that time. And so we go to the first segment of the show. Gunther talks to us. He's been of course, he's been, the subject of a lot of controversy. Last we saw him, he attacked Nick Aldis brutally, choking him out. He says he's been mistreated since he's been on SmackDown. He says he should be WWE champ right now, and the only thing that prevented him from being one is Nick Aldis. He says Nick Aldis has made this personal, and now he even has to team with Sami Zayn tomorrow. Sami is a bum, and he's beneath me. This prompts Adam Pearce, of course, interim GM or whatever, like acting on, in lieu of Nick Aldis here. Adam Pearce comes out. He tells Gunther that he should instead be thanking Nick Aldis for saving Gunther's job. He tells Gunther that he should have been fired even just after taking Cody out with the car door in Chicago. But Nick petitioned to the higher-ups to keep Gunther in the match tomorrow at MSG. Pearce says there was even a stipulation that Nick was about to announce, but because Gunther attacked him last week, Nick couldn't get it out. And he says that it's if Gunther and Sami end up winning for their team, then the Cody Punk match at SummerSlam is going to be turned into a fatal four-way. And to this, Gunther reacts very excitedly. Look at this. So this prompts Cody Rhodes to come out, and Cody does his whole big entrance, and then as soon as the fireworks go out, he darts to the ring to attack Gunther, because I guess this is among their first interaction since the car attack. Mm-hmm. So Cody says, where's the logic? Where's the logic in this guy getting a title shot
Speaking
after
for us all,
doing all of this? But he tells Gunther that you will not make it past Saturday night's main event as he challenges Gunther to a singles match tonight. And Adam Pearce makes it official. It is Gunther versus Cody Rhodes tonight.
And the suggestion for John, please clip Cody shouting, "Where's the logic?" Because I think that would be an evergreen audio clip to use. Mm-hmm. I thought this was very good. It was, Gunther is great at this sort of thing. That kind of imperial sort of sense that he's above everything. He should be champion, and you all know it. And Sami is beneath me. He's a bum. My slight where's the logic issue here even before Cody came out was Adam Pearce being so defensive of Nick Aldis. The two of them were complete loggerheads, like very, very recently, yelling at each other. And Pearce, I think, said Aldis was bad general manager, very unprofessional after Night of Champions, getting into it with Gunther and so on. And here he is, more or less, you should be thanking him. He's, so there's that. And
so what do you make of like what they're doing with Aldis and Pearce? Like, because you're right. Like, it seemed like for a time they might have been building to something like that was a bit more sort of like sustained between Aldis and Pearce. But Aldis also has this thing currently going on with Gunther. So it's not to say you can't have more than one beef, especially if you're like the GM of a brand. But the focus that I think the audience is supposed to pay, certainly on this episode, it feels like it's a lot less Pearce versus Aldis. Aldis versus Gunther is still very active. Like, but do you like it? Do you like the GMs being this involved?
Not especially. I kind of have enjoyed the GMs being neutral arbiters, and I think all of us are still, it's fresh enough in our memory of the heel GM being just a terrible trope that we don't want to see come back. I'm now thinking in retrospect that all this showing up on Raw when he was supposed to be on administrative leave just led to a bit of needle between the two. It did seem almost as though they were going somewhere in a storyline with the two of them, but I really don't think so. I think this week on SmackDown, it's simply that Nick is selling the effects of last week, so Pearce is stepping in. Mm-hmm. And where we're being led is in a Gunther and Aldis direction. I think that's the direction we're going in. Although they could be clearer about this, and they could be clearer about lots of things. Like the Obafemi thing was the fumble of the year for me, and it's just unclear storytelling that they took so long. Yeah, to get to the point of telling us that no, that title shot that he won, that's gone.
So we do get an update here on Rhea Ripley. I would say maybe. Other than the stipulation that they add to the Saturday night's main event, this was certainly the most newsworthy portion of the show, and it's that Rhea Ripley, Adam Pearce says, she's recovering, but she will not be able to compete at SummerSlam, and therefore they are going to be crowning a new interim WWE Women's Champion, where 5 women will enter a ladder match to determine the interim champion at SummerSlam. And that person will face Rhea Ripley at a later time. So the qualifying matches for the ladder match will start tonight, and they are between Jade versus Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton versus Jacy Jayne, and more to be announced in the weeks to come. So thoughts on Rhea Ripley missing SummerSlam and what they're doing with an interim championship?
I feel they saw a gap. Rhea will be missed on a big pay-per-view like this. And they thought, well, what can we do that's sort of adjacent to the WWE Women's Championship? And, you know, this interim title seems like, I think it's a reasonably clever move to do this. I think it has the stench of something that's been dreamed up rather quickly, because they could have trailed this. You know, USA Network, I feel, we touched on it before, like there was nothing announced for this show. Even though it's lower down the totem pole, we always get a card for NXT on the CW. If I were USA, you know, and this is a good ratings grabber for that network, I would want, you know, at least tell the people that CM Punk is on this show, at least tell us something, you know. And I think these qualifying matches at least have a hook to them.
Yeah, the hook could have simply been, hey, we'll have an update regarding the status of Rhea Ripley for SummerSlam. That might have drawn a bit of intrigue. But again, who knows, like, when they had to firm up plans for this? Maybe they had good reason. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. But ladder match at SummerSlam, like, involving the women, I certainly welcome it, you know.
Yeah.
It's Money in the Bank-esque, and there's certainly justification for it. So we'll see who qualifies starting tonight, a little bit later. But first, let's go to Talla Tonga versus Finn Balor as our first match of the evening. In this match, Tonga basically dominates through a commercial break. Tama on the outside tries to then interfere. Talla gets crotched on the ropes. Finn hits the sling blade to Tama on the floor. He delivers the coup de grace to Talla Tonga, then follows up with the second coup de grace, and then Finn beats Talla Tonga. So I would say 2 clean wins back to back over both Tama and Talla Tonga here.
Including interference each week by the other.
Nullifying interference both times. Yeah. So he's beat the both of them single-handedly 2 weeks in a row. So I don't know if there's much further to go with this particular feud. Like, Shinsuke Nakamura is sorry, you're not even needed. You know, Balor's got this covered on his own. That
was our theory last week, was that, you know, perhaps Shinsuke gets involved in this and there's a tag match coming out of it. But no, they seem to have been going down the route of booking Finn really, really strong on his entryway to SmackDown. Now, what that does for the Tongas, Tama and Talla, is they feel completely buried at this point. You know, they feel, particularly without Solo, who is getting a bit of a second wind with his babyface turn. So, I don't know. The elders will not be happy.
No, they will not be. They do tease, like, you know, these mysterious elders, and I hope we get a Haku. We get I guess, you know, like whoever is a part of like that side of the family tree. He needs to Haku needs to come and just slap these two. You know, like for disappointing them. Like, put the Tongan death grip on his kids, because. You know,
maybe Tangaloa. I mean, we never heard on air where he went.
He has graduated.
Maybe he's sitting, becoming he's an elder, and he'll return. You know, and
clearly the reason why this team is fumbling, you know, is that they're missing their secret weapon in Tangaloa. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not seeing much for these MFTs or these Tongans in their future, but. You know, I can't hate the fact that they're trying to make Finn look strong. You know, clearly they're teasing. Well, you got CM Punk versus Finn as a match. You got Finn versus Cody as a big match. So either direction they go to, it feels like they're setting Finn up for that big thing. So we go to the back where Adam Pearce is with CM Punk, and Punk is there to clarify the stipulation. He says he's old school and he hates it. He prefers one-on-one matches, which I feel many of us do.
Yeah.
Punky says he's concerned about Gunther hurting Cody tonight, because he says Gunther is that's all he's after tonight, and says he's going to talk to Cody. So it's kind of Punk protecting his own interests, in making sure that they win the tag team match tomorrow. Therefore, they only have a singles match and not a multi-person match. This is when Damian Priest walks in. Priest gives CM Punk a warning that if he's still champ after SummerSlam, then he's coming after him. Punk says, well, maybe he and Cody will win tomorrow, and then they'll go after Truth and Priest for their tag titles. So all of this is said in a very sort of friendly babyface manner, and the two separate. R-Truth then comes in, and I could not hear what he was whispering to Priest.
He was badly mic'd for the end of this. I mean, I didn't even have the will to try and go back and really, whatever it was, I can guarantee it wasn't.
As much as I would have loved to recap this week's wonderful piece of humor from R-Truth, I think I'm gonna have to.
It's so patterned. Like he said something silly, and then Priest goes, "Oh no,
what?
What did you just say?" Sort of look to the camera or in that direction, and we're done.
We did not get the punchline this particular week. Anyway, so I don't know. Do any of these matches interest you? A Damian Priest versus CM Punk, or like a Punk and Cody versus Priest and Truth?
Nope.
No, not really.
Not even not really, just no.
Yeah, like with Priest, so like we've got the Royce Keys thing that I wonder if it's still active. Like no Royce Keys on the show. He was over at Fanatics. There's the whole Finn Balor like reunion with Priest that certainly on this show was not really touched on at all either. Maybe they're waiting for Rhea for that. Like
Could
the whole
be.
Judgment Day reunion. So we get Jade, Nia, Jacy, Stratton cutting promos ahead of tonight's matches for the ladder match qualifier. Then we go to our first one. It is Jacy Jayne versus Tiffany Stratton. Winner advances to the ladder match. And before the bell rings here, Laney and Fallon start attacking Tiffany Stratton, but Bree and Paige then come out for the save. And they brawl to the back, and now it's a one-on-one match, and it's pretty straightforward from this point on. The finish basically comes when, here, my notes are all over the place here. Finish comes as Stratton avoids the rolling encore. She hits the lethal injection. This is followed by the rolling senton, then the PME, getting our second clean victory on the show. And I will say, the last clean victory, the last decision. In fact, you will actually get on this show.
So,
yeah. So I thought, honestly, listen, it's like Stratton is champion. You can argue she should win, but I also thought Jacy Jayne by this point would be a lot further, like in the pecking order, at least on SmackDown.
We're on the same page there. I mean, I get the result. Tiffany's the bigger star. She's got the belt. They're going to put her in this 5-woman ladder match. But I didn't love this for Jacy Jayne because I keep going back to the night they debuted, the heat they got. They did great things with that, instead of being overwhelmed by it. All three of them performed really, really well. And they looked super dominant, like they were going to run roughshod over the entire women's division. And really in recent weeks, they've been put in their place, so to speak. And I didn't like this for Jacy Jayne at all. I feel like she had a lot of steam and they've somewhat squandered it. I would have at least tried to protect her a little more in what was a very clean loss, which lowers her stock a little bit.
Agreed. Totally. Yeah. Now, Fatal Influence, I would say, are likely to win the tag team titles tomorrow. So maybe that's some sort of like saving grace for the faction as a whole. But like the star of the group is Jacy Jayne. And I think she needs to be protected really like it's right now, because like you said, Neal, I thought she came in like pretty hot, and she's now just kind of starting to blend in to the background, and it's somewhat unfortunate that like you just kind of have her lose matches like this, and it doesn't feel like it's as big of a deal. It's also confusing because like Stratton being US champion, why does she need a spot in this ladder match? It tells you that there's unlikely to be a US title defense, as a singles match on SummerSlam. Meanwhile, like this sort of like title opportunity, 1 of 5 spots, like it feels perfect for an up and coming talent like a Jacy Jayne.
Exactly.
Doesn't it? So I question this certainly, but we'll see what, like, do you think Jacy Jayne's even on SummerSlam this year?
At this point, I I don't think so, unless there's a women's tag defense and she's just there, with the other two. Yeah, I think I would have booked Jacy to be in that. A multi-woman ladder match seems a perfect place to put her. And if you didn't want to give Tiffany a loss, there's plenty of other people you could have Jacy beat. So, yeah, I didn't love this.
Support for this podcast comes from NordVPN. There is a lot of wrestling happening every week. And if you're a completist like we are at Post, then you probably know how expensive it can be juggling multiple streaming services just to keep up. In some parts of the world, things are set up pretty well. Regions where WWE lives on a single paid streaming service, others where AEW fans can get their weekly shows and pay-per-views bundled under one subscription. But when those fans travel abroad, they lose access to those fully featured versions of those services that they rely on at home. And that's where NordVPN comes in. No matter where you are, you can open the app on your phone, laptop, or Apple TV, connect to a server of your country's location, sign into your existing accounts, and keep up with your wrestling the way you do at home. John and I have been using Nord for over 3 years now, and it's become one of the most reliable, must-have tools in our wrestling consumption. It'll probably be for you as well. You can grab an exclusive NordVPN deal by going to our custom link, nordvpn.com/postwrestling. You'll get a big discount on any 2-year plan, plus 4 additional months on top. As always, it is completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/postwrestling. You can find all the information in the episode notes. Get your exclusive deal and let them know you found them through us. We hear from the recently returning Baron Corbin here in a promo. He says that there are a lot of guys here now. He says he's been watching the product, first of all, and he says there are a lot of guys here now that think they are legitimately tough. Meanwhile, he says he is the real deal. He says Trick is the first name on the long list, and Mello just happened to be collateral damage. He says, you get in my way, you get run over. He tells Trick to enjoy what he has while he can, because Baron Corbin is coming for it all. So certainly he is coming back as a much more serious Baron Corbin than we have last seen him in the WWE. Even more serious than this initial lone wolf character. He's got like a logo now, and it says like Nomad, which is sort of like his indie wrestling thing. Mm-hmm. What did you think?
I'm not sold, I have to say. I mean, I feel like he's going straight into the US title scene, which at the moment is pretty hot on SmackDown, because you've got Trick, who's super popular, and Mello, who I think is doing really well hanging with Trick, to be honest. This guy, maybe I've got too long a memory with Happy Corbin, Constable Corbin, catch up on the shirt, all that kind of nonsense. Cena calling him skinny fat, his field, Money in the Bank cash in. This guy was through the mill, and they're rebranding him as a tough guy, and we'll probably get the Golden Gloves references coming through and all the rest of it. But if the mid-card's a good place for him to be, and if he gets through that kind of US title logjam, I just don't know where you put him next. Is he in a best of 7 series with Matt Cardona or something like that? I mean, I just don't know where he naturally slots. It's not in the main event scene. So.
How long before he gets hooked up to Danhausen's cloning machine and he reverts back to some of his greatest hits? I wonder. Listen, I want to be a lot more optimistic about this. And I especially appreciate guys who after leaving the company want to make some sort of effort at trying to rebrand themselves as maybe a more serious version. I would say during his time outside of the WWE, I don't know if he managed to do that much, or at least hasn't really built the type of reputation that even a Matt Cardona had, outside of the company. But he's like Chad Gable, and it's still taking him a long time. I would say now, after this Americano stuff, I feel like Gable has finally overcome Shorty G, but it's taken a long time. And Baron Corbin probably has to work even harder to counter Happy Corbin, broke ass Corbin, and I don't know, the King with the dog food, all this stuff. Yeah. It only takes maybe one crowd to chant whatever they want from the past, right? When you see this man's face, you still see all those things, unfortunately. So it's going to take a lot of work. But I like the promo tonight. Like I thought like he did about as much as he could to try to like be a serious version of himself.
And it's certainly possible. Like he will have a chip on his shoulder after having been released and not doing his time as Bishop Dyer, on the indie circuit. But I don't think he set the world. I mean, I'm not much of an indie follower. I'm somewhat plugged into what's going on through my news work, but I don't think he was much of a change maker on the indie scene. So it's not like he's coming back with a huge amount of kind of, we got some holy shit chants last week from us, from a pliant crowd.
You were chanting holy shit.
From me, I was, of course, yeah.
Okay. Rick Williams is in the back. He's responding to all of this. He says Corbin is a big, bald-headed bitch. So, trying to get that going for him, the bald chants and such. He says Corbin hates Trick not because he has a title, but because his title has more hair than he does. Are you offended? Does this offend you? Okay.
No, not at all.
No. Okay. This is when Mello.
I do fear though that this will become a chant. Bald-headed bitch or something.
And they could only hope. Better that than some of the other things they could chant. Mello shows up. Says Trick got another loophole so he doesn't have to defend his title against him again, but he tells Trick that he's been holding that title really tight lately, and he says that I know that you are not better than me. Trick says, well, if you're so much better than me, what have you done in 2.5 years on SmackDown? Meanwhile, 7 months in and I'm the hottest thing here. He tells Mello to mind his business while grown folks are talking. And Mello just kind of gives this sort of cocky smile, like he feels like he might, be under Trick's skin a little bit. So I'm liking this. I'm liking this for Mello. I feel like his presence has started to grow a little bit here. And if that's a tall task against the Trick Williams, but you're constantly showing the two of them together. You're constantly having Mello sort of win these exchanges and sound confident standing up to Trick, and I do think it's adding up,
I do too, yeah. I think it's maybe a combination of the two have got good chemistry. They're probably good friends, off screen. So there's a bit of that, and they had their time together in NXT. I think that also it's you got to give credit to Carmelo Hayes, he's hanging with Trick, and I think that's no easy thing to do with this guy who's a charm machine, much bigger guy as well, as we can see with the still that you're showing. So yeah, I think Melo's doing really well here, and I think he's grown over the last few weeks through this. So I hope he's just not dispatched, by the end of all of this.
Yeah, you would have thought that maybe with Corbin coming in, maybe Mello would be odd man out, but it feels like he's still a part of this, at least for now. It still feels like the direction is Mello and Trick, and I don't exactly know what role Corbin plays. But I mean, I see a three-way being more likely than just maybe a singles encounter. I hope. Well, I certainly don't know if I see Corbin on SummerSlam in a singles match in a triple threat, possibly.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of I appreciated that Yachty wasn't there today. I think I've gotten to the point where I really don't see the value in having him there as a celebrity. I don't think I personally don't think he offers that much. I think he only serves to kind of confuse the babyface heel dynamic of Trick Williams at this point. Anyway, yeah.
He's super heelish, Yachty, and I've got a little bit of fatigue of the guy as well at the moment because Trick doesn't need him to be there. I get again that they're legitimately friends and all of that, and they've got good sort of working chemistry together. But
so be friends outside of the screen,
exactly.
Hang out more.
Yeah,
anyway.
And the good air quality.
That's right. Yes. Nia versus Jade is our next qualifier for the ladder match, and there's really not that much to recap here because immediately on the outside, Charlotte Flair comes in attacking Michin and B-Fab. She, of course, is looking for revenge on on this whole group for their attack on Alexa Bliss last week, and then delivers a big boot to Jade, and immediately it is a disqualification. Flair then brings a chair in, trying to pulverize Jade's arm the way they did with Alexa last week, but the baddies come out to make the save. And so the announcer ends up telling us that Jade has won via DQ. This, of course, pisses Nia Jax off. She starts attacking Charlotte. So, we've got now Jade in the ladder match. That means no singles match with Charlotte at SummerSlam. And you would think Charlotte would be one of the qualifying members of this ladder match.
That has to be the direction at this point, I would have thought. I mean, I thought these two, meaning Jade and Charlotte, were an absolute cert to be in a singles match together at SummerSlam, given that Jade is now in the ladder match. Charlotte has to be in it as well, I think, which sort of telegraphs what's going to happen next week.
Yeah, let's go to that right now, because later on, Nia and Lash start complaining to Adam Pearce about, the bullshit here. And Pearce says that Nia will get another opportunity to qualify next week in a match against Charlotte. So they can't have... Well, Nia, granted, lost here via DQ. Will they have her lose again next week?
I think so. I think Charlotte wins and goes through to the match.
What if Jade attacks and it's another DQ? Just like Charlotte makes it end via DQ. Anyway. Again,
could be, yeah.
Boy, like with the pattern of them booking these matches on this particular show, I could certainly see it. Yeah, I thought this was so. I understand, okay, like wanting to protect Jade, but fuck, man, like doing it like a DQ finish as an out like this, it just feels like such a cop out in 2026.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing is an angle. Right? There was no match here at all. Really.
So unsatisfying.
A missed pump kick, I think, is basically all we had before Charlotte's interference.
Yeah, very. I felt it was a lame way of getting to this direction here.
Yeah, I understand that they might be somewhat. I was going to say pushed for time, with the move to 2 hours, but that's maybe not. Yeah, as I say it, I feel no. There's still this show still felt a little bit stretched at 2 hours.
So in the back, Gunther is interviewed, and Gunther says Cody only acts on emotions, and tonight he's going to beat some rationale into him. And in rolls Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano. Candice is here sort of speaking on behalf of Sammy. She tells Gunther not to do anything stupid tomorrow because they need this win. Or not to do anything stupid tonight because they need this win tomorrow. Gunther says they. He tells Candice to tell Sammy that if he wants to win, just show up and don't get in my way. And as Gunther leaves, Blake Monroe attacks Candice from behind. This is her way of introducing herself, of course. And then she walks past Johnny Gargano, who, of course, does nothing to stop any of this. Blake simply tells Johnny that he needs a haircut.
So Johnny did not listen to Punk last week, who told him that this is not working.
Yeah. Candice. Punk said that to Candice, I believe.
Yes, I told her to get back in the ring, and that could be, I guess, where Monroe is headed for her first in-ring feud.
But Monroe seems to be attacking everybody. I mean, like
she is.
Julia, Candice. I'm sure it'll all lead to something. But
this would be a nice, easy kind of first win, though, wouldn't it?
True.
I mean,
yeah. Is this some sort of like subtlety that they're trying to tell us? Like Gargano, he should not shave nor cut his hair for like 4 or 5 months, right? He shouldn't even shower and change, I feel. Like, he should just...
Yeah, or go home or anything. But yeah, there should be piss everywhere and if he's simply not moving.
I don't know I don't think this is going anywhere. Like after CM Punk's pep talk last week, like you would think, okay, like maybe this is the end, and like like Johnny is like finally going to snap out of it, or at the very least, Candice is going to come back and wrestle. I'm not so sure. I think this is just the status quo that they're going to maintain after all this.
Could be. They're just circling until the theory number one was nothing to do with Austin. That they're just making Gargano sit out his contract until he can go join his friend.
Yeah. I spoke too soon here because we do get another match with well, at least a finish here, because it's Fraxiom versus the Viking Raiders here, and the War Raiders. Man, how could I make that mistake? The War Raiders are seeking, they're begging basically for Priest and Truth to give them a title match. They're even willing to put up the AAA tag team titles, but Priest and Truth just like they don't give a shit about this thing. So they're still hunting for a tag team title shot, and Fraser, I have to say, is amazing. He comes in, both he and Axiom are just absolutely incredible, but they build to this hot tag from Fraser, and he does not get that much of a reaction here. No. He delivers a 450 to Ivar, getting a 2 count. Eric then drives Ivar into Fraxiom, and then he delivers a big slam from Eric, getting a 2 count. Fraser then dives onto Ivar and crashes into the table on the outside. Axiom follows up with his own dive. Then Fraser does one to the other end to Ivar. Fraxiom superplexes Ivar. Fraser follows with a Phoenix splash. The War Raiders then deliver Ragnarok to both members of Fraxiom, and they get the victory here.
Very good match, I thought. It's certainly probably the best. I had forgotten about this until you reminded me that it had even happened. The best in-ring part of SmackDown was this match.
Felt like the type of match where they saw what they were booking on paper for the show, and they're like, you know what, we can't upset the cage match community inmates too much. Let's throw a Fraxiom match in there.
Yeah. I mean, the War Raiders are an excellent base for Fraxiom to work with, and 2 big men who are also extremely mobile and athletic for their size as well. The usual just tremendous pace and moveset from Fraxiom as well. So, yeah, no, this was a nice sort of diversion into an in-ring, some good in-ring quality with a clean finish.
I think you have so many acts that are still trying to overcome their comedic past, and I think they're still having a tough time doing it. And I would say Chad Gable, for some by some miracle has finally been able to. I think the War Raiders are still struggling. I just can't see these two and take them really all that seriously. But in ring is where I forget. This is the bowling turkey leg eating dudes. They actually can wrestle really well, especially Ivar. Anytime he's able to do his moonsaults and just all the sort of agile big man stuff. That's this group at their best. And I mean, they had a great showcase here with Fraxiom. So
yeah, and I think it was a mixed bag from the crowd. About halfway through the match, there was a bit of a "this is awesome" sort of going, But by the same token, like you said, they weren't so invested that when the hot tag came to Nathan Fraser, there was really much of a reaction. So yeah, I think they enjoyed the fact that there was some decent action happening, but they weren't super invested in the characters here.
Yeah, I mean, and is it any wonder whatever backstage segments that Fraxiom have had over the past 2 years have been just god awful, right?
Yeah.
And the two of them aren't the biggest personalities, but I do feel the creative could be a lot stronger to try to make them more interesting, likable, and compelling characters.
Yeah, it occurred to me last week. I mean, Axiom is from Spain, and they're in the World Cup final.
Wade made a lot of jokes about that, but yes, please go on.
Yeah, Fraser's English, and at least from Jersey, that's actually kind of a grey area, but he's certainly an England supporter, and they were wearing their shirts, I suppose. But why not play into that? There's been World Cup fever, totally. So yeah.
My team's in it, your team isn't. Sorry, but not sorry, something, right?
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Anyway, so. This was NXT. Maybe they would have had that luxury. On SmackDown with only 2 hours, maybe less likely even at this point. There'll be background characters for R-Truth soon enough again. So Cody and Punk are in the back, and Punk asks Cody if this is a good idea. Punk says he's going to watch Cody's back tonight. Cody tells him to stay in the back. He's got this. But Punk insists on going out there to, again, not just protect his friend, but protect his own interest, because he doesn't want this to be a multi-person match at SummerSlam. And I guess he wants a healthy Cody as well to face. So
Sure.
So there's that. Danhausen is interviewed, and Jackie shows up in the lair, and Danhausen does. Jackie is there to ask Danhausen about his match with JD McDonough tomorrow night on Saturday night's main event. And Danhausen first doesn't remember who JD McDonough is, and then remembers him as the guy with the head. Danhausen says he has a secret weapon, so he's not worried about being outnumbered tomorrow. And he brings out a stuffed animal like cat.
It's a cat, yeah.
Inside a bird cage, and says everybody knows that if you cross paths with a black cat, you're cursed. So like this is when fireworks explode. That's how like they show that something's cursed, like through explosions. And that's it.
Yeah, he says, you know, like you just said, if you cross paths with a black cat, you are cursed, and seems to accidentally curse his computer, which explodes. And then he tells Jackie to run, and the two of them scamper.
So very noticeable. They are not at all teasing any sort of like special guest to help Danhausen anymore. They're not even making this whole New York Knicks jersey like a part of the. At least it wasn't mentioned tonight. I don't think Dom wore it on Monday. So
I saw some sort of social media exposure of Danhausen leading an uncursed parade or something like that.
Okay.
But it didn't really stick with me because I expected that if they were going to make a thing of it, it would be on this show. And there was no mention. So, yeah, I mean, I fully expect that to be part of the theme at MSG tomorrow. You know,
the Knicks, yeah, certainly.
The Knicks and Danhausen. But, yeah, they didn't really do much of any job in trailing it.
I guess I do really wonder if, like, you know, if this was originally the Jalen Brunson spot before they decided to pair him with Roman instead and leaving this with, I guess, nothing, you know? So we'll see. We'll see tomorrow what they have up their sleeve as like a sort of punchline for this. But I do wonder if like they've changed the story as a result of like the addition of that Roman segment. You know?
Yeah, it's complete supposition on my part. But I mean, this whole show had the feeling of being booked on the fly to me because again, no announcements in, and we have that from time to time, no announcements in advance, and yet they had things of consequence, you know, towards SummerSlam, particularly with the women's interim title, and that's just, I don't know, just give me the vibe of something that they came up with, perhaps this afternoon, who knows.
So then we get to our main event. It is Cody versus Gunther on television here, but things start off pretty hot here with Cody simply jumping Gunther from behind during his entrance. Cody goes for the Cody cutter. Gunther shoves him to the floor to take us to the commercial break. During the Netflix break, Cody is selling his hip upon landing, and Gunther continues beating him down. We come back, and Cody is finally able to hit the Cody cutter. Power slam, disaster kick, then another Cody cutter. Cody then tries for the crossroads, but Gunther blocks. Gunther starts targeting Cody's legs, ramming it into the post, and this prompts CM Punk to come out. I guess to make sure, well, you know, don't hurt his legs, you know, like, I mean, hurt everything else, but like the legs, that's too far. So he's trying to make sure Cody isn't too hurt before tomorrow's tag match. Gunther does the GTS taunt as he tries the move. Rhodes is able to land on his feet, double clothesline, and we get one last commercial break. Cody delivers the pedigree, but lands on his bad knee and is unable to cover. We come back with Gunther applying the half Boston Crab on the bad leg. Gunther then misses a big boot and gets it caught on the rope, so now Cody starts with attacking Gunther's leg, dragon screw, and a figure four leg lock, but here comes Sami Zayn to attack CM Punk on the outside. Cody delivers a suicide dive to Zayn. Zayn attacks him, and we get our second DQ in a five-match SmackDown. And everybody is on the outside brawling, and that is how tonight's show ends ahead of Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, no timing issues this week. I don't think we missed any big rescue or anything like that at the end. This main event had star power, obviously. You know, we had Punk coming out to ringside, Cody, Gunther. But it was an exceptionally safe match. That was my feeling in watching, particularly like you, where I had caught up at this point and was watching through the break where it was just endless, nothing happening. The two of them lying there or side headlocks and stuff like that. And I get it, but it wasn't a very exciting thing. It was, the whole thing was just an angle towards tomorrow night with this new stipulation that we're supposed to be able to buy into, that there could be a fatal 4-way at SummerSlam. And for what it's worth, I really don't see that happening.
I don't see it happening either. Yeah, I mean, this, they're already putting on the marquee Cody versus Punk, right? And like the threat of it, yes, adding some stakes to the Saturday night's main event, I think it's good. It's good. Like you can at least, like, it's not completely like impossible that they would go the fatal 4-way route, and you just kind of need that small shred of doubt in order to make the match compelling. I welcome the stipulation. And I recognize, like, they even spelled it out in the scene with like Punk and Cody, that this match, Gunther simply wants to hurt Cody, and therefore the result of it doesn't necessarily matter. But boy, does like a DQ finish feel like in the main event of a show feel so flat and so disappointing. Even if the point is to hurt somebody, like to at least like give us some result, ding ding ding, 1 2 3, just like feels like it'll end the night on a much more satisfying note. 2 DQ finishes in 5 matches on this show, I think is like pretty sad, So in totality, you got like, Fraxiom versus War Raiders. If you care about in-ring, like when you're watching SmackDown, like this was the only match worth watching, but it was, for the most part, like until the finish, I thought rather cold. Everything else in terms of wrestling, I thought was average to pretty forgettable. But you do have like announcements here. Here you got the stipulation added to the main event tomorrow night. You have the Rhea Ripley announcement, and then the 2 ladder matches. So honestly, you just needed to read the tweets about the Ripley injury and the stipulation being added, because otherwise the show felt like it was very missable and made me rather go to Fanatics than watch SmackDown.
Yeah, and I don't blame people for skipping it, particularly when, and I'm stuck record here, there was no you were given no reason to tune in, because you've got the full card for tomorrow night, and if you want to get your fix of WWE at the weekend, then Saturday night's main event seems to be where it's at. I do agree with you that changing this tag match, which is, I suppose, going to be the main event tomorrow, I assume, to give it some stakes, at least it lifts it from the sort of house show feeling that it had. So there's that. But I don't buy into a Sami and Gunther win at all, because I really just don't think they're going for another multi-man match for this title. It cheapens the title. We've just come off a triple threat for it. So yeah, I don't think that's happening.
We'll go through a little bit of a preview in the XL edition, but those are our thoughts on tonight's SmackDown. Skip it. Like, if you're gonna watch some wrestling tomorrow, like maybe check out Saturday night's main event. Otherwise, we got Collision coming out, and Kate from Montreal and Ray Williams will be covering that over in the Post Wrestling Cafe. John and I, of course, will be live at some point in the evening. I believe 10:35 p.m. Eastern. So we will be talking about Saturday night's main event over on the YouTube, and then this weekend the G1 continues, and John Pollock, Karen Peterson will be reviewing nights 2 and 3 of the G1 Climax. Of course, maybe talking a little bit with Karen about Shota Umino's exit from the G1, and also where exactly that leaves all of us in the pool.
All our picks are destroyed, and I'm off to a terrible start way with only 4 points. So.
Okay, as long as you stay ahead of Randobot and the AIs, then
one of the AIs I think I'm ahead of. So.
Oh boy, okay. So all of that will be found over on postwrestling.com and postwrestlingcafe.com, which is where we are headed right now.